In 2023, I went on an absolute Pikmin rampage, playing every single game and 100%ing all of them. And one of the games that stood out the most to me, aside from Pikmin 2, was the game that started it all, Pikmin. Or Pikmin 1 if you play the Nintendo Switch version, but Pikmin for the GameCube. This game was actually more challenging than Pikmin 2 in some ways. I feel like it's one of, if not the hardest games in the Pikmin franchise, and I wanted to talk about the chaos that this game can produce and why I think this game will forever be an early 2000s GameCube classic in my eyes. The game starts off with Olimar traveling through space in his ship, the SS Dolphin, on his way back home when suddenly he gets decked by an asteroid and falls down to an alien-like planet below. His ship parts end up scattering across the planet, all over the place. After taking a second to recuperate, Olimar discovers, number one, his ship is absolutely decimated. And he discovers a red, onion-shaped flowery thing. I actually do not remember for the life of me what those things are called. I legit think they are called onions, though. After a second, a sprout goes into the ground, and Olimar just yoinks it out of the ground to find a Pikmin. One Pikmin becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, and soon you have a plant-like army at your disposal to battle enemies, and most importantly, collecting ship parts. Now, Olimar has 30 days to collect 30 ship parts before his life support system fails and he keels over and dies. That's actually kinda freaking dark for a Nintendo game if you think about it too much. Another thing that really got me into Pikmin 1 incredibly quickly was attempting to figure out how to be the most efficient each day and collect at least maybe 1 or 2, or hell, maybe even 3 ship parts a day if I'm lucky. The day system was really scary at times, to be honest, but it's what makes Pikmin 1 part of the time strategy family. You must strategize what you're going to do in a day, what Pikmin you're going to need, how many Pikmin you're going to need, and if you're going to have to take on enemies or not, and you also have to scout the location of some parts. Here's how a normal day in Pikmin 1 would go for me. Send a group of Pikmin to repopulate its numbers, have another group fight some enemies or build bridges, or hell, even break down a freaking wall. Then scout the location of 4 parts, at least. Then go for whichever one I believe I can get in the time I have left. And make sure I didn't leave any of the Pikmin behind before I hightail it back to base. That was what the day was for me. I would make sure my Pikmin's numbers weren't low, and if they weren't, I was ready to roll. Ready to stroll through the land and see what I could find that day. Speaking of the land of Pikmin 1 is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But good golly gosh, certain areas were hard to memorize and I ended up going in circles quite a few times. Especially the second area, the Forest Navel. I had to figure out how I was going to get my grubby little hands on the parts. And combined with getting lost, losing some Pikmin purely by them just not following me because they tripped, yeah, it was getting kinda nuts at some points. This also leads me to one of my biggest gripes with the Pikmin themselves. If they're either a bud or a leaf Pikmin, they are super slow and more likely to trip. However, the flower Pikmin move at a much more manageable speed. But combined with trying to strategize and get parts before the end of the day, this was torture. Especially trying to keep these little buggers alive. Now we're finally talking about the Pikmin. There are 3 Pikmin types in this game, aka the OGs. We got red Pikmin. They're super strong and good for fighting enemies and are also immune to fire. Yellow Pikmin can jump higher and carry bomb rocks. And blue Pikmin are the only type of Pikmin that can swim. They're actually pretty capable and resilient little dudes when they want to be. But man, they could be really stupid. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen red and yellow Pikmin walk blindly into the water despite them not being able to swim. I've also seen them randomly walk into enemy death traps. I've also seen blue and yellow Pikmin just blindly walk into fire despite not being red Pikmin. They also get stuck in corners, underneath ramps, and yeah, a lot more. I felt like a teacher at some points trying to watch a bunch of rowdy children on a field trip. It was absolutely nuts trying to watch all of them and not leave one behind. I was basically babysitter deluxe. And worst of all, the nectar. Nectar helps Pikmin's leaves mature from leaf to bud to flower. And that makes Pikmin faster, which is good. But anytime the Pikmin see grass, it is abort the current mission. I see grass. Nectar possibility is high. Let's go! You could be in the middle of leading them into the next wall to destroy, and they see one little pixel of grass. That's their mission now. Screw you. They want nectar. The worst part about this is that you could not notice this until it's the end of the day and you have Pikmin unaccounted for. Then you realize, oh crap, the 10-second timer is starting and these motherfuckers are on the other side of the map. And it's too late. That happened to me so many times that I started to genuinely feel bad for the poor lads, especially when they perished in battle under my command. Over time, you kind of grow attached to these little fuckers and want to protect them at all costs. But over time, they just start being really freaking dumb. And I couldn't save all of them, and that crushed me. Other than that, the Pikmin are actually adorable, and over time I actually saw them less like working ants in an ant colony, and instead saw them as adorable little lads I needed to protect from these foul beasts. But I couldn't. I can't save all 100 of them, okay? Oh yeah, speaking of beasts, man, there are so many enemies in Pikmin 1. Some more ferocious than others. My least favorite one was easily the puff stool. I have nightmare fuel about that thing we'll get into later. But yeah, you've got the run-of-the-mill enemies such as Bulborbs, Sheer Grubs, Sheerwigs, Wallyhops, etc, etc, etc. Wallyhops are mad annoying to deal with unless I managed to get them on land. Then there wasn't really much of a problem there because I could take them out quickly with red Pikmin instead of relying on the blue Pikmin in the water. One of the biggest challenges in Pikmin for me was knowing when to restart the day and give up and think of a new strategy. I had a really hard time facing off with the puff stool. So much so that I lost a lot of Pikmin. When I finally got the part, I had very little of my squad left. And I finally decided you either get this part and take a over 75 hit casualty to your Pikmin, or you restart and take it on with another strategy. I decided to put my pride away and restart the day, and the next day, I fought that damn puff stool, and I had no casualties and no Pikmin left behind that day. That, my friends, was freaking awesome, and it felt mad good. Basically, some of these things will require trial and error, and Pikmin actually taught me that in the most brutal way ever, in the form of the puff stool. Now, onto the bosses in Pikmin 1. I don't know how to feel about these guys. Most of them didn't exactly feel like bosses. They honestly felt like horror enemies that require a tiny bit more strategizing. My favorite one happened to be Ghoulix, mostly because it was an interesting challenge to figure out how to damage this odd-looking goop ball. I also really liked the final boss. That was a challenge in itself. Emperor Bulbax was in no shape or form easy, but it wasn't terribly difficult to beat either, which I felt like was a good choice on the devs' part. It's not too hard, but it's not too easy. It's just the right mix, and it's really good for the final boss. Hell, I actually had a hard time even trying to get to this guy. Don't get me wrong, it was also really fun. You need all 3 Pikmin types to even just get started on making your way to this dude. And boy, oh boy, that part was easily my favorite bit of the game. Then I got to see Olimar go home, and I started to cry because of how amazing it felt to see Olimar say goodbye to his plant-like friends and make his way back home to his home planet, Hakatate, to his wife and children. But then my heart shattered when I saw the isle had let over 100 Pikmin get killed. But that's not my worst run ever. I'm actually kind of proud of that score. So what are my final thoughts on Pikmin 1? This game is a relatively simple real-time strategy game, and simplicity is occasionally one of the best things for a video game. Pikmin is no exception here. The game is literally gather ship parts and don't let Olimar perish. This game still has its early 2000s DNA embedded into it, and that's something that I love dearly. Sure, there are going to be some times where this game feels like trial and error. Are the controls jank? Yes, because honestly, that was so hard to readjust to after playing Pikmin 4. Yeah, most of it, like I said before, is just a huge wave of trial and error. I fell on my face several times like the Pikmin in this game. But just like the Pikmin, I also got back up and kept trying. This experience is something I'll forever hold dear to my heart, and I can't wait to talk about Pikmin later again this year, because I still love the franchise. Hello, amazing peoples, and I just wanted to thank you guys for watching this video. This video was much more of a self-indulgence video, but hey, I had a good time making it like I usually do. If you ended up liking this video, be sure to like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Also, huge thank you to my thumbnail artist, Lucas. He did an amazing job, and honestly, he's amazing. Go check him out on Fiverr. Anyway, take care, guys. Bye!